just in case the tech goes crazy. And then I'm gonna go live. Are we excited? Look, I got myself a new little mug.
Oh, I love it.
So cool. Sorry, go back. I was just trying to. Oh, nice.
Yeah, I was gonna buy a bunch of t-shirts, and I'm like, I don't really wear t-shirts, but I often drink things, so I got a bunch.
Yes.
I got a bunch of mugs. I actually have like literally, I use these. I have like glasses just sitting around my desk that I use as props in scenes.
Oh yeah.
Love it.
I always look like I'm drunk in scenes, which is really funny because I don't drink. So.
Do you have like a dedicated room for your?
Yes, so I didn't. So for the first 7 months of the pandemic, I sat on a bench in the corner of my bedroom. And then I was like, this is not going to end, and I am uncomfortable. So I turned. We have a guest room that I turned into my office. So I made like the bed, the day bed, and then my son came home from school, so he had an extra desk that was sitting in the garage, so it was easy to do. So, all right, I'm going to go live. So anything you say from this point on.
How do we share it so we can?
Yeah.
Give me 1 sec. Once we go live, I will.
Oh, that's in case I've done something wrong. It's always a case of.
No. It's not you. I promise. It is this lovely Facebook systems.
I'm super appreciating our yellow-orange theme across the 4 screens.
I do. Yes.
Black, white, yellow, white. We're so coordinated.
You know what I mean?
We are.
And Carla, yesterday I had a wet sheet hanging up behind me, and today I've upped my game.
Right.
I've put some slap on to look, presentable, alive.
All right.
You look like a bad Liza Minnelli tribute act, and I'm feeling it.
No, I'm appreciating very much the eyeliner skills.
We've all gone eyeliner.
So I believe we are live. Yep, there we are. Fantastic. Hello, everybody, and welcome to our second attempt to have the Global Gab here at Queen City Comedy. My name is Carla Dingle, and welcome. I'm here with 3 fantastic folks today, and I'm super excited to introduce them 24 hours later, because that's sort of what happened. Hold on. There we go. So I'm going to spotlight them and introduce them to you. So I'm going to start right here. I'll let them introduce themselves. Tell everyone about yourself.
Hi there, everyone. My name is Kate Bell. And I am very, very happy to be here. I live in London in the UK, and it is currently 8 p.m. I don't know why I've told you the time. That is me. Hello.
You've probably told us the time because I'm always asking you what time
it
is. All right, next.
Hi, I'm Vera Chuck. I'm also in the UK, but I'm in the middle in a city called Nottingham. I am so happy to be here with Kate and Becky and
Carla. Fantastic. And
it is also 8.
It's also 8.
What are our time zones in the UK? I'm on 8:05. I'm Becky, and I'm in Liverpool. So we're doing a nice little spread across the UK.
Woo!
Yeah, I'm super excited to be here, especially with Vera and Kate as well, because it's gonna be fun.
It's gonna be so fun. Awesome. Well, thank you for introducing ourselves. We already have comments. It says we had to wait a whole day because the legends are here. Finally, these are the best humans. So those are from your teammate Atira and your coach Jem Bianchi. So yay!
And
speaking of that, I can now say, because I just got this information shortly ago, that these ladies are part of one of our new global teams for female and non-binary improvisers called Trash Kingdom, and they'll be having their debut show on May 29th. So check our Facebook page for more details. Coming soon. Jen is like blowing up the chat, so I'm going to ignore that for a minute. Hi, Jen. So always love to start off with just sort of figuring out how you got involved in improv and sort of what brought you here. So I call it your origin story. So I want to hear from each of you how you got started in improv, what made you start, and kind of how you started and where you got to today. Anybody want to go first?
How long have you got, Carla?
We have hours and hours. Go ahead.
Who wants to start? Shall I start?
I think Kate's starting. It's happening.
Okay, because the other day at the beginning of a class, I had to kind of do a bit of this. And then I was like, oh, I've been talking for quite a while. And then it's like, oh, no, actually, that's what we're here for now. So hold on to your hats. No, buckle up. No, so hello, I'm Kate. Oh, we've already done that. So I am an actor. I was a child star. No, I was a child actor. I've been acting professionally since the age of 12. And I was in the BBC TV institution that is Grange Hill for 7 years.
Is it national institution, like generational national institution?
Yeah, it's kind of like the kids would say the kids would say it. No, they wouldn't. It's the kids version of like EastEnders of kind of how like big it was, and then for maybe Carla, you might say it's like Degrassi Junior High or something like
fantastic.
that. Kind of. So yeah, it's very gritty about school basically. So I lived out my puberty years all on TV for everyone to see, the worst years of your life when I've had every haircut going, every possible weight size. Yes, it was all there. Normally people can kind of hide away and then forget about that, but mine's all just like recorded forever.
Is there a DVD box set, Kate?
Not yet, thank goodness. You may be able to find it somewhere, but I won't be pointing you exactly to where.
I found some episodes, Kate, just so you know.
Good.
I won't post the link.
And then we're going to do share screen and it's going to happen.
No, I promise.
No, God.
No, this is your life.
I mean, when I'm at the Oscars, you know, you can maybe like show it them. But now I'm just not ready. No, I'd like to think that I've blossomed slightly from them. Bless me, bless my little heart. Anyway, so that was 7 years of my life, and it was blimmin' brilliant, so much fun. And then I had to like do normal school alongside that as well. So yes, that was that. And then after Grange Hill, everyone was like, oh, you're going to EastEnders next. And then it's like, no, you don't automatically go into EastEnders. And then like, so I got bits and bobs of acting work, but then I got to the point where it's like, I want to be a bit more in control of my acting. And I've always loved comedy, and then I've liked improv, and I was like, let's really give improv a go. And in 2013, because I had to write it down because I always forget, I went to Hoopla Impro with the magnificent Steve Rowe, and did the performance course there. So I'm getting out of breath. I'm bloody talking so much. Okay, take a breath, Kate, and stop being so over enthusiastic about your own self. Yes, then he was like, oh, there needs to be more all-female groups. I think you should start one. Oh, Becky's got bored and gone. I have that effect on people. It's fine. I'm used to it. So I did, and I started an all-female improv group called All Made Up. And we did 2 years at Edinburgh. We did short form stuff. It was so much fun. We had an amazing time. But then after that, like, life gets in the way. There was like 10 of us. So it was hard for everyone to be on the same page of where we wanted to go and stuff. So we decided to call it a day. And then after that, I kind of like gave improv a rest for a while, and then have still been acting. And then at the beginning of the pandemic, I was like, right, I was made redundant from my theatre job. And I was like, right, what can I get stuck into? What do I love and what seems to be accessible? And then improv and online improv was there, and I got straight back into it. And then the rest is history, because then you just start one thing, the other thing, the other thing, and then it's been bloody magnificent. Now, was that too long?
I mean, Becky left and came back, but no, I don't think it was too
Have you been on holiday and come back? Yeah. So there we go. I mean, obviously I've just skimmed the surface, so we can go back into all of those things in more detail later. But yeah, carry on, everyone. That's
No,
me.
I think it was brilliant. I think it was brilliant. Exactly what we needed to know.
Good.
Who wants to follow that?
Wait, I have questions.
No, go ahead. Ask some questions. Go ahead.
Yes,
Kate,
Vera.
how did you get started in acting in the first place? Were you like a loud, like show performy kid?
Well, I was the only one in my family that was ever shown any interest in this stuff, and I just loved performing. Yeah, and my mum and dad were like, "Oh, try ballet, try tap," and then it was like, "Oh, well, there's this kind of theatre school," and I was like, "Yeah, I want to do that." So I went to like a Saturday theatre school, which was brilliant, and just, oh my god, so many memories there. It was like an inner city kind of like, it was kind of not polished, and like, oh, and you go like, where do you go, like, oh, Anna Shares or Italia Conti, and then it was like, no, this is different, but it was brilliant. And like the head of it all, Geraldine Gilman, she was like a real mentor to me, and I was the fat kid at school, and I was the fat kid full stop. And like, when you kind of like, oh, I'm so enthusiastic and so passionate about something, and then when someone really kind of believes in you and was like, I think you're really good, and like gives you that opportunity and gives you that encouragement, I was away, and I was just like, yeah. So then that, and then an agent got in contact with the Saturday theatre school, and then I joined an agency, and yeah, and then got into like the TV stuff.
Awesome.
Great. Vera, how about you?
Oh, blah, blah, blah. Okay, English, right. I also trained as an actor, but I trained really late in life. So I went to drama school when I was 29. Because prior to that, and this is relevant in the sense of like, everyone's like, you don't have the emotional resilience to be an actor, you're not funny, you're not good, blah, blah, blah. I mean, consistently being told that. But I went to school anyway. And then was like really snobby about improv. I'm like, I am a classically trained actor. Improv is just people goofing about, like accountants after work kind of thing. So snobby. But after many years realized, oh, a lot of my favorite performers and actors have got this thing about them. And so you track back and you go, oh, okay, they've all got improv in common. And and obviously all that snobbery got knocked out of me when I hit the real world. And I'm like, actually, so many skills. You need so many skills to be a good improv, and comedy is so much harder than everything else, really. I managed to get the last spot in an improv class run by, and I still don't know how to pronounce her last name. I don't know whether it's Sertic or Sertish. Anyway, Annie, whoever from the Groundlings, but she teaches like character based or game type stuff, and I was like, I can't do short form. Blah blah blah. Really enjoyed it, even though it was rubbish. Did an intensive with Monkey Toast with David Shaw. People are very divided about him. and then was just totally hooked. I think improv, yeah, like a lot of people, it changed my life. I'm a very anxious person, like not anxious being on stage, but anxious socially. So it felt like with improv, I was just like the happiest and freest version of myself, because anything that comes out in a sort of of my mouth or brain is supported, and that's like so glorious. David Shaw inconsiderately moved back to Canada, so I was based in London at the time, and then I was lost for literally like 2-3 years, and then tried different schools, and it was like really like, it's not the same thing. It's like the emphasis is on being funny. There's loads of blokes just going blah blah blah, joke joke joke. Luckily met Chris Mead at Hoopla Impro, and then through Chris Mead met Katie Shute, and then it just snowballed, and then they set up the improv place, and then I'm so happy about online stuff, because after I've gotten used to the weirdness of Zoom, I've been able to like meet all these people from across the globe who have really expanded the way I think about everything, really, because Londoners, I used to live in London, are really London centric. We're like, the universe revolves around us and our gigs and like our issues and things like that. So yeah. And yeah, for sure, improv has helped me with my acting. I prefer improv now because I don't have to learn any lines, which is great.
That's what my teenagers tell me. Like, we just want to do improv because we don't have to work out that hard. I'm like, no, you just have to work hard. You just,
Yeah,
you just don't have to memorize lines. Yeah, good, fantastic. I love the intersection between acting and improv. It's one of my passions, so I love to hear all of that. How about you, Becky? What's your origin story? How did you get started?
I was raised by wolves. Lies. So I come from improv more from like a clown sort of background and street theatre. So I went to uni at 18 to do drama in Liverpool, and then I had an experience there that I had one that was good, one that was like terrible, and one that was good. That was like, oh, I like this kind of performance. I like like physical theatre and things, and then I sort of found clowning, and then was like, this is what I want to do, and just went on a journey to sort of keep studying that, and moved to Bristol for a while, and studied there. And that's when I sort of found like improv, because I have a bit of a weird thing of like, it's all fucking improv. Like, when, you know, to against them, this is improv, like it's all improv. You don't have to be all like closey off from stuff. It's all improv, it's all valuable, it's all useful and wonderful. And yeah, so came from that sort of background, and then moved back to Liverpool, having been to Bristol, and sort of started doing more sort of improv with a company called Impropriety. And then yeah, I was doing that. I'm trying to be like, where are we? What year are we in? And then yeah, the pandemic hit, so I just came online and started doing stuff, and then just took loads of courses and classes, because it was like, I can take these classes that I would never be able to take because they're, you know, abroad, and get to improvise with people that I would never have a chance to improvise with, just because of financial, geographical implications. And it's like, this is amazing. I did some improv in the park recently, and it was like wading through treacle, because I was like, oh, I have to move, like actually walk towards like an area. I was like, oh, but yeah, it was really weird. But I've loved finding like my women's spaces over the pandemic, and I've come to really value those a hell of a lot, because as much as improv can be a lot of white men doing this, clown can also be a lot of old white men telling you your shit. So, yeah, you're like, I'm really down with that. Not really here for that. But yeah, so that's that's me, really.
Fantastic. Well, my next question I love to ask. It's one of my favorite questions, but we get to do it two different ways this time. So this question is, what type of improviser are you? So what I'll do is have each of you answer that question, and then because we play together, I'll let you answer about the other folks because that'll be fun. So yeah, what kind of improv player are you? If you had to describe yourself to somebody, like this is the kind of improviser I am, what would you say?
That's a really.
I would hope that people would think that I'm fun, supportive, and I've always got your back. That's what I think.
Okay, good. All right, so Vera, Becky, tell us what kind of player Kate is.
Fun.
Supportive and always got our back.
She always does. Kate is really, really supportive. And I really like, so she's all of the above, but also very grounded. I feel like Kate doesn't bring she doesn't bring a nervous energy or frenetic energy to any space, and I really appreciate that. And I think her brain is also really good at problem solving, so there might be all sorts of chaos happening, and then Kate will come in and like make sense of things or tidy things up, so she has that really sort of helpful brain. Which is great.
Yeah, Kate's one of the best listeners, I find. Like, really, like, just hones in, and you're like, oh, yeah, I didn't hear that. And she did. And it's like, and just really good at just sort of being like, okay, so you mean that? Like, and just to really sort of keeps everyone on track as well. So that's like part of having your back, is to be like, okay, don't worry, I've got this, and we're going to be fine, sort of thing. And yeah, it's brilliant to watch as well, and also that, because I'm not like that. I'm like, yeah, hi everybody, and Kate's so good at just being grounded, and I look at it and go, oh, I wish I could be like that, but I don't can make more like Mr. Tickle, and Kate's like, no, this is where we're going, and pushes the scene forward. I'm always like, oh yes, great, thanks Kate. Thanks, go along with that.
Well, I had the privilege of working with Kate for like 3 months in a class, Kate and Vera both. And I will add on to all of that is so true. But the other thing is Kate is fearless as well, which I really appreciate. She will break into song at any moment and make it work. And like I do musical improv, and I would never break into song without like being in that mindset. So I always appreciate just that fearlessness of just 100% going for something. So, yay.
Thank you.
Hilarious, just fucking hilarious. Are we allowed to swear?
Yeah, swear away. Swear. True story. It was very funny when I first took my very first online class out of the UK. Like the instructor was like swearing at left and right, and it was so jarring for me. I don't know why. I have like a horrible swearing. I swear all the time, but it was very jarring, and I'm like, oh, this is just totally fine. This is great. Yeah, swear away. But it was. I was like, what is happening? They're swearing at us? What? It was just very, very American of me.
I'm gonna blame Jen Bianchi for encouraging us.
For her potty mouth.
Carla, actually, I mean, I haven't watched this whole series, but like, we want to get to know you. Well, I want to get to know you.
Sure.
We ask you questions.
Sure. Well, let's finish this one, and then if you want to ask me questions, you can. How about that?
Okay.
So, Vera, tell us, what kind of player are you?
I'm not succinct. I think I do like surreal, absurd things, and with words and and with my body, and that I'm a total goofball. I'm not like a wordsmith or a punster. Oh God. Yeah. And I feel I would like to be for people to feel that I'm supportive. I think maybe it's more evident in the flesh. I don't know, but like I feel that I'm a very supportive energy, but maybe slightly disruptive on the internet, which I don't mean to be.
Well, let's see what Kate and Becky think.
Yeah, it's weird because I'd say you are succinct, and I'd say you're like there, and you're when you go into the scene, it's like bold choice. I'm really there, and it's like cool, and I'm like always like here for it, and it's just like usually that's usually me like off camera, just being like and there's like a mischievousness as well that I love that
definitely.
you bring to stuff, and you will sort of bring that kind of in. I can't describe it, but it's sort of. And yeah, and that's what I love that. I love it so much. It's so good.
Yeah, and you're definitely like, you always have like the wacky one in, and like that word is always just funny anyway. Oh, it's so wacky. But like you can have a wacky one, but then like when you're in a scene with them, you're like, oh God, what is gonna happen? But with Vera, she'll go a bit like left field, but like I always feel totally like she's gonna go for something, and then wherever it goes, it'll end up like brilliant. It will always be okay, and like because you're always then whatever you go in with and wherever you go with it, you're always ready to just be there with your partner in the scene. So it's very enjoyable to be like, what's Vera's brain gonna do in this scene?
I also love your deadpan as well, because when you do what you do, when you go deadpan, I'm always like, it's amazing because you're just so like, I'm like, yeah, because it just doesn't break either.
Yeah. And I think as well, when you're working with someone, like that's why our team is brilliant as well, because literally everyone, I'm like, how does your brain do that, or how does your brain get to that? And that's brilliant, isn't it? Because everyone's got that about them that you're like, oh, that's good. I would never have thought of that. But with everyone like that, that's kind of a good place to be, I think.
Our team rocks.
Yeah, I will tell you a secret. Vera did our duo show recently, and she was working, so she joined us right before we started. And so Jay, who was in our class with Katie Shoot, and I were trying to describe you to Matt, your new partner for the day, and we were like, "It's gonna be the ride of your life, man. It's gonna be so good." That's how Jay and I described you, and I think that's a good representation because you just don't know what's going to happen, but it's always fantastic. So,
oh, thank you. I never know what's going to happen. It's a bit terrifying,
improv, right? That's improv. So, all right, Becky, it's your turn. Tell us what kind of player you are.
So probably physical with stuff, but I'm not subtle. I know that, and I don't do subtle. I've accepted that. I've probably embraced it too much. But sometimes vague. I think I'm not scared of silence. Which I think now when we talked about not wanting to learn lines, it just also makes me sound like I don't want to learn lines. I also don't want to talk. I just want to stand there.
I just want to stand there and go like this.
Guys, I've got improv.
This is Becky playing the wind.
She's so physical, and she just like portrays everything with her arms. It's so cool.
You just have a Becky scene as she crosses.
It's just this.
Becky, you remind me so much of someone I used to play with all the time, and unfortunately she has moved a little further away, and who I think you know. Her name is Elizabeth Byland.
Oh, wow.
I feel like the two of you are so similar in your styles, your deliveries. I actually was like, you have to go take the class over here so you can see this person, Evie. And so she did. She took some classes at Liverpool, and she loves you. So,
you
remind me of her so much physically. It's crazy. So,
we'll do this just a duo show at Little.
That's all she does too, right? That's probably. So, ladies, tell us what your thoughts are about Becky.
Just so fun. Like, completely fun. I feel like I haven't done enough scenes with you, to be honest, because however it works out, we always end up like missing each other with scenes. But I'm itching to do more, and we will do. Obviously, we've got all the time in the world. But yeah, it's just like so fun, and you've got that like thing where you just look at you and you're like, you are up for just having a laugh with this, and like whatever happens you'll be going with it, and you make great choices where I'll just be watching, and again you're like, oh damn, that's good, that is good. So yeah, just a ball of fun and just really intuitive, intelligent choices.
Oh, that's nice.
I would disagree with you in terms of Becky.
Ooh.
She says
I'm
you're
very-
not beautiful or intelligent. That's what she just said.
No. I would disagree with how Becky self-analyzed is not doing anything subtle, because I feel that, I don't know, you have a quality, Becky, that's sort of really the openness. And so we see all these like basically, now that you've reminded me that you do clown, that makes complete sense, because there's something like so rich in humanity about the stuff you do. So even if it's a big character, I'm like, oh my god, the pathos, and that's so moving and lovely. And I think that is.
I thought you were crying then. I thought you were actually crying.
I think, yeah, that's so wonderful to be able to sort of to bring that to, and that's the best kind of comedy, isn't it?
Yeah, and also when like one of the great things about improv and being in a team with people as well, but just generally watching when you're not in a scene, is watching people's faces, because watching people take in the information and what their face, and that what their brain, like watching your face, Becky, and just knowing that your brain is just going, right, yeah, I'm listening, I'm taking this all in, yeah, it's great to watch. It's so like, I'm like, and what's gonna come out once you've opened your mouth? Yeah, it's really good.
I feel the totally same about you, like both of you as well, like just, yeah. And that's the thing with Vera's mischievousness and your sort of like groundedness. It is those moments like before where I'm like, shit's gonna get good. And I'm like, I love.
Don't you love playing with people like that though? It just like it energizes me so much. So it's fantastic. So I know you wanted to ask me some questions, but let me ask you these questions that were posted for you
Okay.
by our friend Ari. I think you guys all know Ari. So for Becky, you have each individualized questions.
Oh,
For Becky, as a clown, you usually interact with the crowd. How does this affect your improv when your interaction with an audience is reduced to online?
oh, good question. I guess it's always just working out who your audience, like your partner is in a way, and it's the difference that I've been learning about from sort of this to this, and just being there to just being there, and just sort of that kind of difference. But also just getting to play with your scene partner and finding that within your sort of you've seen and stuff like that. It's for me, there's a lot of similarities with clown and improv. They cross over a hell of a lot, but also there's places where they sort of diverge. So there's a lot of times where I just enjoy just doing things like for my own personal like game of like, oh, there's those little moments of just, where it's not affecting anything apart from like your own kind of like moment. So, just stupid shit like that.
Yeah.
So it's that kind of thing. But I've avoided doing a lot of clown online actually, rather than improv. I find for me it has been more isolating, because when you are in the room trying to for a long time I was like, ugh! And I didn't like it. So yeah.
Go ahead, Kate.
Oh no, I was just going to say, with clowning as well, whenever someone says that they do clowning or have done it, it always makes me go because you just hear so many stories about like the training and obviously who trained you in the whole process of like breaking people down to like build them back up, but like and stuff like that. But also I know that that's over dramatizing and there's different versions of it and stuff, but I I always think I've heard the stories about where you have to keep walking in just as yourself,
Yes.
and then they're like, no, you're trying to be funny, no, you're trying to be funny, or no, just yourself, just yourself. And I was like, oh god, imagine that when you're like, I'd be interested to do it and think, I think I'm 100% confident that I'm just walking in with no facade, and then they'd just be like, get out, do it again, or so yeah, it makes me go like, ooh, when I think of clowning. But was that your experience?
Sometimes yes, sometimes no, and that's how I sort of. It took me many years to have to gain the confidence to go, I'm not down with that style of teaching. It's not for me. I don't like it. It might be considered one of the most respected sort of clown teachers, but I don't like it, and I don't think it works, and it doesn't work for the style that I like. And it took a long time to get the confidence to say that and be all right with that, because you always feel like, oh, people just think you're better, or it's like you weren't strong enough, and it's like, no, I just don't like coded bullshit. It's like, just do you like to do you think she should put herself in a bath of acid? And it's like, what you trying, just say what you're trying to tell me. And but that's a whole other story for a whole other conversation.
But I think it equates to improv too, right? Like I think we probably all can say we've taken an improv class with an instructor we didn't really connect with or didn't feel like we were going to grow from. And so I think it's very similar, I'm sure, with clowning as well. Even like I took a class, last year with probably one of the most respected, I will not say names, improvising instructors out there. And I was like, this is not for me. Like I enjoyed enough that I learned some stuff and took it away, but this is not a person that's going to help me grow. So, and I think sometimes that's hard when there's prestige attached to an instructor. So,
yeah.
I think, oh, sorry, I just want to add the thing about clown and improv. And I was trying to answer the question in my head of like, what does clowning give you? And I think it's something to do with the idea of a clown brings a gift to the audience, like, and that makes sense. Like in the sort of supportive improv world, you're there and you're present, and you're giving a gift to your improv partners. So I would, yeah, that's such a nice idea actually, to sort of like just be open and generous and like keep supporting, keep giving. Yeah, that's nice.
And it's the discover, isn't it? You're discovering it in that moment, and it's new and it's brand new. You're discovering it together and finding the game, and like with each other, like what is it, what we're doing, and just having the joy. Just like enjoy.
Joy.
Yeah.
Well, Kate, here's your question from Ari. Tell me a little bit more about All Made Up and having a space with all female identifying players in our community theater. Oh, that was the question. Wait. And then it said, in our community theater, this was only beginning 4 out of 30 plus troops before lockdown. So I think what he's saying is you're creating this new space for female identifying performers, and tell more about how you did it, why, and then how it sort of changed improv for you.
So All Made Up back in the day originally was the group that I set up that was all female, and that was our group, and we performed short form together, and we did 2 Edinburghs together. That's us, but we ended up disbanding just because there were so many things within our group that, like, life gets in the way and different people had different priorities, etc. And I knew that when I kind of had to call it a day, because it was kind of getting just too much to try and make it work. And it's just one of those things, isn't it? And totally understandable. And so I remember saying to the girls, I was like, one day I want to carry forward All Made Up, but in a different kind of entity, but it will be to do with comedy and hopefully to do with improv. But I won't be like replicating this, because we can never replicate that, because that was a thing and it was special and that was that. So now All Made Up Improv is my company, which is like workshops, and ultimately I'm trying, I've got Mumprov, which is for mums. It's kind of things that are, there's a lot for beginners, but then there's other stuff that are then workshops for improvisers, etc. But ultimately, my passion is that people, everyone can get stuff. Like, life can be better with improv, basically, and you can use it in so many different ways. And I just think that people who are non-performers and are struggling in different parts of their life, or just kind of, you know, think that, oh, but I'm not a performer, I don't do that. There are elements of improv, as we all know, that people can just do, and at the end of every workshop, I'm kind of just astounded always, and just love it. It's just that thing of thinking and saying, like, if you just commit to being in this space, then you know, and just give it a go, then, you know, you'll be surprised. And then at the end, everyone's like, oh my God, I didn't realize I could. So yeah, and then like going forward, I definitely want to look at the female side of doing female empowerment through improv, and yeah, concentrate on that as well, because I do think that is something I'm very passionate about. And like, yeah, just empowerment and empowering yourself using improv, and having a voice, and knowing that you're so much, or everyone's so much more talented than they think they are. They're so much, you know, can be so much more confident, and they have stuff to say and they don't think that they do. So yeah, that's where it all made up, us as the troupe, the team, troupe, sorry, so old, that word, that's how long ago we did it. No, All Made Up as a team disbanded, and I just wanted to carry a lot of the ethos forward, and I wanted it to kind of evolve into something else, and something that's right for me and right for now. So I'm very excited about all of that.
And I saw you have Vanessa Anton coming to teach for you.
Yes, exactly. So this is where I wanted to do something where for improvisers as well, not just for beginners. Yeah, and she's doing her workshop on vulnerability in improv, and how you can kind of break through feeling vulnerable and difficult bits within scenes and within groups of people that you're improvising with, etc. as well. So yeah, I'm really excited about that. So you can book that now, by the way. But yeah, so all very exciting. Yeah.
So how important is it for you all, now that you each have the ability to be playing in a primarily female non-binary space, how important is that for you? How has it changed improv for you?
Well, yeah, for like, I won't go on because I've just spoken, but just quickly, just saying from where I like started as well, and for that to be a massive part of my origin story of improv, it means so much. It's kind of like I've come full circle in a way, and learned so much from then to now. And it's nice that it's not my group that I have started, because it takes that kind of pressure off, and it's nice to just be able to be in that group and like play, and just, you know, and just, because there is that it murkies the water, and kind of can be a bit stressful and stuff. So this is absolutely brilliant now to be in this team and with these lovely people.
I agree. I think I joined a group just before the pandemic. It's called Boss Birds in Liverpool, and it was an all women team. And I was like, oh, this is cool. And I just come to really value those spaces. And it's not to say don't love me fellas, because I do. Some of the best people I know are fellas. But it's to have that space where I think as well, not to get too political, but we grow up in a world where we're told to chip away at each other and to put each other down, and culturally there's a real like women against women kind of attitude that I think is still really prevalent and can be quite toxic. I kind of think for us to change that narrative for ourselves and to be like, hang on a minute, no, we all really fucking love each other, and actually we're here for each other, and it's quite empowering to sort of to take that back and be like, no, I'm not going to subscribe to your kind of narrative of like, for want of a better word, slut shaming and things like, you know, those, not saying anybody does that, by the way. It was just, that's the kind of narrative that growing up as well that you had of like being judgy if you weren't that kind of woman, or you weren't that kind of woman. And for us now to be able to be like, no, F off. We're going to do it our way. And I really, really value it. And also fucking hilarious. So there's that. And we get shit done. Sorry.
Vera, how about you?
I think it's really interesting. I'm still getting used to it because I'm not used to being in a space that doesn't have men dominating in some way. Not to say that the other people I play with, other teams I play with, are dominated by the men, but it's just very sort of like for me to go, oh, this is different because I'm still getting used to the fact that it's a new group of people. But it's interesting. I find myself thinking, how do you play gender? How do you be more inclusive in culture, in media? How do you not reinforce, can you still be reinforcing the patriarchy within like an all female identifying group or NB group? I mean, it's still easy because that's the suit we're swimming around in. How do we not always be talking about a man if we're just not male? Yeah, I guess it's a process of me unlearning a lot of stuff and trying to work out what I'm allowed to do in this new space. Which is exciting. It's a really exciting process, and it's such a relief. I've wanted to be in a group for years and years and years because when you have the security of a group that you know you're going to see regularly, you don't have to like be so anxious about impressing people or being a certain type of person. And it's interesting what Becky said about having to present as a certain kind of woman, and it's nice to be reminded on a regular basis that there's all these people from all over the place with different like preoccupations. We talk differently, we have different references, time zones are different, but yeah. And I got so weird, like I put on makeup for this today and I'm like, why did I do that? It was kind of to impress you guys.
I'm very impressed.
I'm
very impressed. It worked. Oh, yeah. I was going to say something, but you've just stunned me with your makeup, and I've forgotten what I was going to say.
Well, I will jump in because Vera, you said something that was interesting, like the gender roles and like really trying to figure that out. I too get to play on an all-female team with one of your teammates, Fiona. Don't Mess, which is really a new experience for me because I would tell people before like last year that I played like a man. Like that was just, and I don't even know what that means, but that's how I would describe myself. I play so differently now than I used to. But I have found myself in the last couple of our shows becoming a male character and this all female, like we didn't need a male character, I just was a male character. And then afterwards I thought, well, and then I did all the stuff, right? Like I was hitting on the women and all of that. So it's very I mean, it was fun to play and maybe that was freeing in a sense, but then I think like, did we need that? No, we probably didn't. I mean, I don't know. So
yeah,
it's learning things. It's interesting.
It's hard as well to kind of like obviously be in the moment with things, not censor yourself, not edit yourself, but then at the same time be very aware, because I'd like to think that I am a person that is quite self-aware and aware of people around, but it's kind of like there's even things within our group that someone might go, oh, I'm not kind of happy with that, or could you not talk about that, or could you not, and I'm still finding myself like, back in the day I would have been like, what's her problem, like why can't she just hear, like, oh my god, like like almost like that thing of like, oh god, it's like a woman like moaning about, do you know what I mean? And then like you're just like, oh, hang on a minute. And then like now it's great, like Vera was saying about re-educating yourself and being part of this global thing and cultures and things like that, of where you think that you're open pretty much to things, and then you kind of hear from people, and it's just having that space and that time to be like, oh yes, of course you would think differently about that thing, and like that, I really respect that, and I've never thought of it that way, etc. And it's just brilliant. But also at the same time you are a bit like, oh god, or when, you know, we talk about boundaries and things like that, and I always kind of laugh to myself, because I'm like, oh god, as soon as someone says please don't talk about this, that and the other, I'm like, I'm gonna say it, or you know, like it's just like really, yeah. So there's kind of a lot of things that people bring up because everyone wants to cover themselves and everyone wants to kind of be like, we're all respectful here, and but then sometimes my brain's like, oh my god, well, what if I say this, and what if this comes out of my mouth, and oh my god, but we can't say that, and we can't say that. And so it's kind of that thing of like common sense, and also being just aware and knowing that everything's got to be coming from a good place here, you know, because like we say, you can't, you know, if anyone does say anything a bit offensive, especially in a team that we all like each other, then we pretty much know that it was an accident or come from a different, you know, part. But I mean, we haven't really done that yet, so that's good. But yeah, there's a lot to think about, and it's definitely like everything at once, you know, all female, then global cultures, everything. And it's, I just love it as well, because you just get to kind of, you know, soak it all up. It's just great.
Carla,
Oh no.
is
Just the way
it
you said that was so frightening, Vera.
Carla? Carla, how is it? What with one playing with like people from England? Is it weird?
Oh, I love it. I play on the team, and there's several British performers. First of all, I could just listen to everyone talk for forever, and I love just the way things are said and pronounced. I love learning some of the, for lack of a better word, jargon. I had to play someone British in a show recently, and I was so horrible. It was like, I'm so knackered, and it was so bad. It was horrible. It was just the worst thing that came out of my mouth. Sarah Davies laughed so hard I think she might have spit her drink out. But I love it. I just love playing with folks from all over the world. I think it's just so, I learn so much every time I'm on a Zoom call, whether it's a class, a workshop, a drop-in, or a jam. Just pulling so much from what others are learning. I even
But is there like a thing that English players do that's like, oh, they're from England or something?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I feel like probably Europe, you know, England and America, probably the two most similar, I think, of playing. I think sometimes Americans are seen as playing a little faster, but that would be the only thing that I could think of.
Okay.
Yeah. So, well, speaking of other cultures, Ari has a question for Vera.
Oh, I thought I dodged that one.
No. Do you find your cultural upbringing, shout out to Southeast Asia, any influential in how you improvise?
What was the beginning of the question?
Do you find your cultural upbringing an influence in how you improvise?
Oh, so I spent the first 17 years of my life in Malaysia, and I would say culturally, like I'm racially Chinese, but I don't know anything about China. I have not been there. I don't know. Maybe. I mean, inevitably, it shapes things. I don't know how consciously. probably a lot of my characters, or all my characters, are like, yeah, food, because because the stereotype is that Malaysians are into food, and there is something about having, and when we talk about culture, like, what does that mean? It's something about being brought up as a very, like, good girl. I wasn't allowed to do a lot of stuff. So for the first, I probably still am doing it a little bit. I used to only play really big characters, like grotesque and like just be monstrous, and that was something I was told to do by an acting teacher. It's like, he's like, stop being such a polite English player, actor, performer, you know. Basically he was trying to get me to empower myself. And so yeah, my early improv days, I was like, rah, rah, rah. So lots of like just being ugly, and which is such a nice release. What is ugly anyway? To not have to be feminine or whatever. But I don't think that's specifically a Malaysian thing. I think it's like the way I was brought up. I also, yes, and with the grotesque, with the loudness, oh my god, I'm like, I can be loud on stage. That's like a female thing maybe as well, of like shh, be quiet, don't be messy, don't be loud. Before the whole sort of like discourse around gender really took off, I would play incredibly stereotypically unfair men, like just really grotesque men. And I wonder, Carla, you were saying, like, did we need to see that? Maybe we don't need, maybe the public don't need to see that, or maybe we do shows where, right, we're going to get it out of the system and play all like the terrible, terrible men that we've encountered in our lives, and maybe there is something cathartic about that.
Yeah. And as Jem Bianchi says to us, it's like your scenes are like this. Today is the day. This is the time when you do that thing, you say that thing. And so maybe somewhere deep down inside, we're all saying those things and we're doing those things that we really want to in real life.
Yeah.
Not all of the scenes, otherwise that would be really weird. We've got to worry about us all if that's true for all of the scenes.
So
I would like to, one last thing about Malaysianness. I would love to improvise with either a Singaporean or a Malaysian person, because I speak in a different way and I move in a different way. I don't speak Malay fluently enough to improvise in Malay, but there is like, yeah, I would love to just let loose. But I don't know any Malaysian.
So if anyone's watching from Malaysia, reach out. I will connect you with Vera. So I love that. Kate, Susan would like to know, your lighting is awesome. Is it 3 points? So you have the 3-point lighting set up, Kate?
No, it's a ring light. It's just a ring light. Is that a 3-point light?
No, there's the way lighting is supposed to be is you're supposed to be lit from 3 different angles, I think.
Oh, no, but I've got a ring light there. There's a lamp there. It's a 2-light system, but not the official one. So I've literally got a ring light turned up to the highest possible burn your face off bright. So and I think I look quite like tanned actually, and that is not me. I am not tanned. So thank you very much for the lighting compliments there.
And Vera, Ari said that he can connect you with some Malays and that he speaks Malay as well.
No, but I don't speak Malay well enough. But yay!
Yeah, he said he'll connect you. And then your teammate Atira would like to know, what is something that performing online has made you realize?
Who's this to?
All of you all.
Oh.
I put too much blusher on sometimes.
We learned that yesterday when we had our technical difficulties.
Yeah.
That you can spend a lot of money on lighting and it's not as good as Kate's.
Absolutely.
We've all been going wrong with this. We need the 2-point system.
2-point system.
1.5. It's taught me that I like to sit down to do improv.
I was thinking that.
And the thought of getting up and doing live improv and running around and being on stage is like, oh, that seems like a lot of effort.
I was already a lazy improviser physically. Now I'm just going to be like in a chair the whole scene. No,
I know
I
sorry.
one of the
Also,
things
there is- I think
online
I
has definitely taught me is to trust myself more. Because I used to rely so much on the audience response as to whether or not my choices were right. And now, without having an audience, I have to kind of trust in myself, which is not an easy thing for Carla Dingle. So, but I think it's been a good thing. So,
Yeah, that's good. I think there's a completely different energy because it like if I was performing live, all that day I'd be like, oh, okay, yeah, oh, and then like, oh, I'm hungry now, no, I'm not going to eat anything, no, because I've got that to do. And if anyone was like, oh, do you want to, I'd be like, no. And then like the other day when I had a show, I was like walking back from Lidl with shopping about like an hour before I was gonna, and I was like, this is so surreal because I don't have that, because I know I'm in the safety of this bubble, and also because I can't see people, and it hasn't got that electric kind of like, that thing. But then when you start talking to people like in the chat and stuff, your team, just before you're gonna like go on and stuff, that is the nearest thing to being like, oh, like we're gonna go on and we're gonna go live. But yeah, it doesn't, for me, you can't get that same like kind of buzz. And I kind of actually appreciated that, because I think there's a lot of times in my life where I've just been like scared for the day, or just been like, oh my god. So I like that about it. It's calm. You start from a calm place as well.
I'm the opposite in that I realized because I sat down a lot. So I sort of do sit down, and I was like, oh yeah, because I'm inherently lazy. But then I was like, oh, I miss being. So I've started to stand up loads more, and I was like, oh yeah, oh yeah, it's back. That's probably why. I was like, oh, because it was all just this before. Yeah, and I there was another point, but I've completely forgotten what it was.
well, if you remember, just pop in.
I was relying on the instincts of being obsessed, having the audience there. I'm like, not having the audience there. I'm like, what? Trusting my own instincts, trusting my own sense of self. Give over. Getting there.
And also just like moving, I definitely moved unnecessarily on stage as well, like off, like, and this does, you can't go anywhere, so you can't get away with like, oh, I'm going to pace up and down and walk over there, and like on a stage where you kind of realize like, oh god, I've gone more and more to the back of the stage, and because you're like, and it's not like there's none of that, because you just got to be here the whole time.
Physically, I had a thing where I was known for croning on stage. So I would come into every scene like this. Hello. I don't know why. So maybe online improv's where I should stay.
I love that the first thing you do back on a live stage, you'll probably walk straight in like that again.
Just like for no reason. Play the Queen and do that.
My goodness.
I feel online improv has taught me that the world is a much bigger place. I think pre-lockdown, I was like, one day maybe I'll go to LA or Chicago and do some other people teaching me things. I'll have to save up loads. But it's really terrible for my ego, because I'm either like super confident or not confident at all. But I was like, fuck! I'm like, there's so many people doing improv all the time, and I'm not going to be like up there because I'm not doing improv all the time, and there's so many teachers that I haven't, studied with, but it's been so good for my soul to, again, like, it's been so amazing to play with a lot of Asians in like a completely different time zone, and to like rethink completely the time of shows. Because I didn't like going out gigging at night, because anxiety. But and also I have a bad habit of playing to the audience. I don't think I did it, but it's my tendency because I've done as a performer, I do a lot of audience interaction stuff. So I always want to turn to the audience and go, haha, or something. But yeah, I love how it has taught me so much about, oh, I thought about this today, accommodations and being able to, I don't know, it feels like a safer space somehow. I'm not quite sure why. Or maybe it's just because of the kinds of improvisers I've been connecting to. It's always a shock now whenever I deal with any other group that they don't ask about accommodations or boundaries, and I'm like, oh, I can't deal. But it feels much safer online. Maybe because we are all from all over the globe and people are being more careful to like be inclusive.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree with that. Speaking of inclusive, Siddharth, I think some of you all know Siddharth. He has a question for you. He says, first of all, he's the luckiest person in the world because he is on teams with two of these lovely people and has jammed with the others. But he wants to know what inspires you creatively. So we'll answer that, and then I have one more question, and we'll wrap up. What inspires you I can't even say the word creatively.
Creatively.
For me, it's other performers. That is for sure. Like, that's what inspires me. I feed off of energy for sure.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah. I'm shit at solo stuff. I don't do when I was studying out, my tutor was like, you will have to make something by yourself at some point. I will have to grade you on it. And I'm like, no, I won't do. And I've started to be like, okay, no, I can do more solo stuff, but I don't like it all that much. It's not my go-to place. My go-to place is people and you know, laughing. Oh God, just love it. It's just the best thing in the world. Just love laughing, like, and I think I find that inspiring. People that make me laugh. Oh God, I love it. Probably a bit too much.
I reckon that people who inspire me in a show, in a game, in the play situation, yeah, it's definitely teammates, and that's the joy of improv. You're building things together. But I suppose as a maker, it's people again, because a producer I was talking to said recently that the main question to ask is like, why are you making a thing? And if there's no need for it, if it's just your ego, but like if there's a need in the world, it comes from people around you, right? And so that inspires, hopefully, makers to make stuff that comes from real people, and as opposed to like conceptual funding type opportunities or whatever is trendy, blah blah blah. So yeah, other people.
I love
Yeah,
that
and
answer for us all.
yeah, the other people and majorly is connection, and just it's a connection. So I write comedy as well, and it's kind of that thing of characters, observations of people's behavior, the fact that we laugh at what is different about people because we're laughing at ourselves, because really underneath we're all the same. And then that's the thing that we all laugh at, is when everyone can go, oh, I see a bit of myself in that person, or I can relate to that. And that, as long as you've always got that, people going, oh, I love when you did that, I could see myself. Oh, that's really funny. When you're like, yes, more, and then just every day you go out and you just see characters and you're like, what is their story? Like, what, I know that person, I've seen you before, and then you're making up little things in your head, and then you're like, just for your own like enjoyment, and of course that's what you do in improv, and it's just fascinating, and that's just, yeah, that's it really. laughter, connection, people.
There you go.
Yeah, the
Kate has summed
ridiculousness
it
in
up.
life. Like, it's ridiculous. Life is ridiculous, it's futile. And where's the humanity? Because that's all we've got. We've got humanity with each other. The fact that it's like, it's just ridiculous. And
yeah, ridiculous is my favorite word, because it all is utterly ridiculous at
And
the end
the
of the
last
day.
year didn't teach us anything. It taught us about humanity being ridiculous, right? And needing connection. So I think that's pretty amazing. So my last question to wrap it up, I could talk to you all forever, but is what advice would you give to your younger improviser self? So if you could go back to like the second day that you took an improv class, what advice would you give yourself, knowing what you know today?
I'd say keep the passion, keep the passion, keep the fun, never lose that, because no matter what happens around it, because life happens, but you're always gonna find people that want the fun and want the joy, and that's the most important part of it all.
Ooh, I love it.
I think trust your instincts, be bold, and trust yourself that you've got this, and cut yourself some fucking slack. Like, stop it. Just behave, pack it in, and go for it. That would be my advice.
Yeah,
Tell
cut
myself,
some slack is good for sure. I remember leaving a show that was like an hour away and driving home just crying the whole time over saying one word. And I'm like, it was one word. Like to your point, I should have cut myself some slack. And I still think about it. And it's been like 8 years, so I'm still not cutting myself slack. But whatever. Vera, how about you?
Oh, I just had a flashback to an incident. So it's like where because something happened, I left improv and wasted or I lost. I mean, obviously I had my journey, but I basically I got some feedback in the class that was very shocking. And I stopped improvising and I am so sad about it. But I don't know what I would say to myself. I don't know, because I think if you don't want to be in a space, you should leave the space. Um I don't know. I think maybe a more general one would be it's it's your crazy brain is great. Embrace your crazy brain.
Vera, I
no
think you
more
bring
so
up
much.
a valid
Yeah.
point. If you don't want to be in a space, don't be in that space. I think that's really important. And maybe that's great information that you needed that time to step away to then find what was right, because sometimes you don't know what's wrong until you find something else that's right. So,
Trust the timings of your life.
yeah. So,
I
and I
still
think,
have like, what if? What if? But
but the
Yeah.
what if is you wouldn't be here right now because you would have been
yeah,
on a different path.
yeah,
And so
exactly.
I truly believe that everything happens for a reason. This doesn't mean it's easy while we're in the midst of it. But I think the journey is always really incredible.
Carla, I had more questions for you, but
You can
maybe
ask me a
we have to
question.
do a Carla special.
Oh,
yeah.
you're a Carla.
Carla special
Done.
coming to you live.
No, I mean, if you want to ask me some questions, you can, but I know we're running over. I can be quick. What do you want to know?
I want to know if you like what has changed. How have your feelings towards improv changed across the years?
I would say they really didn't change very much, except for twice. So when I first started, short form was all I thought was important and all I thought that an audience enjoyed. And so I was very reluctant about long form for many years. And then people who I loved playing with and respected started working on long form, and I was like, "Oh, but I want to do that." And they're like, "I thought you hate long form, Carl." I'm like, "Shut up! Now I want to do it." And so when I started doing long form with Now Are the Foxes, which is part of Queen City Comedy, it really changed my improv. It just made me a better player and a better scene partner, because before I was totally a showboat. And then I would say the second change was probably last year. Just Kale, who helps run Queen City Comedy, one of the founders, he said recently, and I probably said this 1,000 times, "Ooh, you just did something," and he's in the scene, and he goes, "That's 2020, Carla. That would have never happened before 2020." And I think part of that is confidence, trusting in my instincts. I'm definitely bolder now, which bolder in the right way, I guess, because I was like, let me tell some dick and fart jokes before. So yeah, those would be the big evolutions, I think, for me, finding long form and then finding online improv in this incredible community.
And why is the community and why is improv important to you?
So it's my whole life, man. When I, about 4 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, I was laid off from my career that I'd been in for like 20 something years. I was turning 48, and I was like, how do you reinvent yourself at 48? Nobody wants this woman who's been in retail for 20 something plus years, and like people were offering me jobs at like a third of the money that I was making and making me feel like I had no skills. And so I just told my partner in life that I just wasn't going to reduce myself into something that I didn't want to be. And so I just started creating avenues for myself. And now every piece of money I get is related to performing arts and improv. I make like a third of what I was making 3 years ago, but I'm a happier person. I feel much more fulfilled. I have the joy of teaching kids, which is just something that keeps me in check every day, because they will call you out on your shit in a heartbeat. And their passion and their freedom, watching them do it even in this pandemic. I've been teaching in person since last June. We have like 7 or 8 kids in a space. There's plenty of room, but just that was their only human interaction for months and months and months. And just that joy, it just resonates and carries over so much for me.
And I think, so just to reflect what everyone is probably thinking, like you are probably one of the kindest and most genuine people. But I feel when you say your age, you lie.
I was born in 1969 while the men were walking on the moon.
Not having it. I'm like, no, it's a hard no from me.
It's all good lighting and filters. That's what I keep telling everyone.
The 3-step lighting process.
Right. I only have 2 lights too, Kate. So that's what it is. It's all about the 2 lights.
I'm 96.
I make references. My teenagers would disagree with you. I'll make references, and they're like, "What are you talking about?" And that totally shows my age for sure. And my best friend is a 79-year-old, so that's even more fun. And she acts younger than me. So
I love it.
Yes, I do. So. Well, if you have more questions for me, we could make Vera interview me another time. So just
Carly's better with a quick fire round. What quick fire round? Like rounds. So yeah, quick fire ones on this, one's the origin story.
How many wigs do you own?
Yeah. So Darth just interviewed me for the improv place. So there's some questions there. Okay. I just want to check that out. If you don't know about the improv place and you're watching, you should.
Oh my God.
So I'll put some links in the chat. Well, ladies, thank you so much. Thanks for letting us run over. Thank you for rescheduling on day 2. Is there anything you want to promote before we wrap up? Anything you want to share that's coming up that you want people to tune into?
Not my thing, but check out Bernadette Russell. Her paperback on how to be hopeful is out next week, and in the UK. But I think her book is definitely also in the US. How to be hopeful, Bernadette Russell. It's really fierce.
I will find it,
and it's like, I love it.
Hope is critical in life, so I will find it. Great, Kate. Anything you want to shout out to real quick?
Well, I mean, there's a few things, so maybe they could be put somewhere.
You pick one.
Say them, Kate. Say them.
I have a list. I'll put them in the chat. You just shout out a couple of them.
Yeah, so obviously I'm very really excited about Trash Kingdom, which is
Oh yes!
our group, and our first show is on the 29th. You've already said that, thank you. And then I've got my other group, which is Typical Heroes, and that is with Smack Improv, which are the Shanghai-based improv family. We did our first show recently last week, and we've got a second show coming up, which I don't know. I'm not exactly sure of the date of that yet, but keep your eye out for that. And then there's Off the Grid that I'm part of, which was the team that came out of the teaching course on at the nursery, and we look out for us there. And then and I have been in the cast of Whatever Fate Decides with Neil Leahy, which is a tarot based and improv show, which is absolutely brilliant as well. And we'll be doing some more shows, so yeah, keep your eye out. And then yes, my company, All Made Up Improv, have a look out for that, and got some great things coming up there, so keep your eye out for that. I'll just keep saying keep your eye out for that. Okay, sorry, I'm boring myself now. Carry on.
Yay, Kate!
All right, and Becky, last but not least.
So I mean, you can check this out if you're UK based, but I suppose if you're Northwest based, I'm just going to shout it out because the more likes the better. It's marchforthearts.com, which is a group that I'm part of, which we started when the pandemic happened, which was a protest march about fair funding for arts. And it's now become something more than that. And we are just writing our working guidance for arts freelancers and organizations to try and shift the balance that between organizations and freelancers to empower them. And it's a working guidance document to help sort of make freelancers feel more supported. And I love it, and it's making change, and it's been good. So you can check that out if you want. Because the aim would be to make it wider, and but it is lovely. As Boss Birds, we have a monthly jam, Women of Improv Worldwide, every month. I have to shout out to my team SBDI, otherwise I will never hear the end of it in my group chat, and I love them very, very much. Which is great. It's where I met, it's not where I met, but my friend Amanda. So shout out to Canada. The irony being that I am from Yorkshire who wants to move to Canada, and she is from Canada who wants to move to Yorkshire. So if I sort of change slightly, like my hair is longer and I have glasses at any point, it's definitely me. We've not swapped identities. Just know that. But obviously, yes, Casino Improv as well. Thursday nights, 9 to 9:30. We have a fun little short form show, which is daft and silly and wonderful. And all the Trash Kingdom. Trash Kingdom!
Oh, sorry, I just remembered. I am doing a real life gig in July with Hell Yeah, which is a queer female team in London. Or rather, the gig will be in London, but they do excellent stuff. And oh my god, real life stuff. I'm not sure.
I'm not either.
I'll bring
I'm
my
not
chair.
either. But just before we go, just to shout out this weekend, we have our duo show, which you might see a couple of these ladies in. We also have our Mix It Up Global show. Again, you might see some of these faces. So definitely check out Queen City Comedy. We also this weekend have a great panel discussion going on. We have 5 medical professionals that are going to be on with theater organizations talking about when to open up, the medical concerns from clean air to vaccinations and all of that. So if you can't join live, it'll be on our Facebook page. So watch that. And with that, I'm going to make us all awkwardly wave goodbye. And
we're going to do it like this, though, guys.
Oh, do it like Becky. Woo!